Before I ask for a motion, I would like in the next to the bottom paragraph to insert in this motion. We've said the community transmission index, but we've also in the information that was presented this morning said we use the other one. If somebody can give me what that is, what do we call it? I'm sorry, daily positive case rate. Daily positive case rate. And we'll just add that in as we make the original motion, so we don't have to go through amendments because that information has come forward today. You've heard the resolution. Is there a motion to that? Dr. Brinkman makes that motion. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Hall. Dr. Brinkman, comments?
Yes, thank you. Just a prepared little talk on this. I will support this resolution to allow families that desire an option for in-person learning. I personally feel that the current community transmission is still too high for in-person learning, but some citizens desire us to move towards an in-person option. If the numbers remain the same, understand that by choosing the in-person hybrid model, your child will be going back to school when our county's case per 100K is still 2.5 times higher than the highest level on the CTI scale. Please understand that the district's ability to implement this in-person hybrid model relies on having enough willing teachers to teach in person. I fully support the district's current stance on not forcing teachers to teach in person when they do not currently feel safe to do so. Parents, please understand that by choosing in-person learning, your student's teacher will most likely change. Teachers, please understand that by choosing to teach in person, your current students will most likely change. Chatham County, please be aware that transportation is not guaranteed at this time. All parents choosing in person, please understand that other parents will continue to send sick children to school, as they have always done during the flu season. Quarantining will occur, and please be prepared to have your student have the likelihood of having to stay home for 10 to 14 days during quarantining. Please choose wisely and consider all portions that have been discussed today before making your final decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brinkman. Ms. Hall?
Thank you, Dr. Brinkman. I don't need to add much to that, except I do want to say that the word...
Please unmute your microphone.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to add to what Dr. Brinkman was saying, that the watchwords are going to be waiting list. And that's going to bring its own set of dilemmas and problems and creativity to the forefront. And the other thing is that I would like in the resolution, if it could be changed to say after consultation with the board, as opposed to with the board officers. I think it needs to be a responsibility of all of us.
Okay, we will have to, we can certainly take that out, but we must do it by,
Okay.
I noted that. Other questions, comments? I have
Thank you, Dr. Buck. I will simply say that I support the motion moving forward by that's been provided by the superintendent and her staff, not because I think the return to school is wise, but because I believe it is responsive to some requests from the community for an in-person option. It also honors the responses we've gotten from others who prefer the virtual model. And I appreciate those who have come to speak to us here at our meetings, because they have drummed up the conversation across the community and within those who are usually silent. I will reiterate what I said to the community in the video that I produced in March, that dealing with the pandemic, we will have to make the best decisions for our own individual households. And so this motion does not represent what I want for you, community members who have come here saying that you want an in-person option, but it does represent what you want for yourself. I'm pleased that this model allows families and staff who prefer to follow the science to continue to do so.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Wade, please.
Thank you very much. I'm super emotional and I don't know why. A lot of times as a board member, we can't really come as parents because we're talking policy and we're talking data and we're talking charts. So we don't really get a chance to speak on behalf of our children. I'm so sorry, it's so embarrassing, but we've got to get some of our children back in school. Like, we are dying. I am losing my children. We've already had to send one of our children who has special needs to a therapeutic school, and that is a privilege. That is an incredible privilege. He was dying on online learning, and during this meeting, I got my weekly email with pictures of him, and he's thriving because he's with peers and he's getting in-person instruction, and that is an incredible, incredible privilege that we were able to give to him. I've heard a lot of talk today about it's selfish to want to send our kids back to school. It's convenient to send our kids back to school. Lectures about please understand the consequences. We understand. We are informed. We are reading the data. We have invested our lives in our children, and we see them slipping away from us. To the families that are thriving in online learning, that is awesome. Kudos to you. Don't think I don't look at you with a little bit of jealousy figuring out how you did that. My children have all the resources they could want. They lack for no resources. They lack for no love. The only thing lacking is school. And I'm glad to hear that so far the board members are supportive, but I come to you as a parent begging on behalf of my own children to please let them return to school. It's going to be hard, but we have the team in place to do it. And for those of us parents that want to make that informed decision, please let us do that. This community needs that, and our families need this choice. So I'm sorry I'm a little emotional, and I would rather talk data, but I wanted to come to you today as a parent to share my very sincere thoughts on this.
Thank you, Ms. Wade. Other comments from board members? I would say this is your time to speak. I don't see any point in us starting again after. So, Ms. Hines? Mm-hmm.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear anyone respond. Okay, well, thank you very much for this opportunity. I think our staff has worked real hard with this plan, trying to be able to share with everyone. I'm getting feedback. I am a grandparent, and yes, I've had the privilege of working with my grandkids for a few days, and it's hard. And you are looking at a retired teacher. The situation itself is difficult, especially if you want to add in the knowledge of technology. And so not being able to get on to the
I'm sorry, guys. I can't hear anything. I think Ms. Hines is still muted. I can't hear anything.
We're trying to work out the technical issue with the audio with Board Member Hines.
It's good. All right, well, I would like to just go on and say that I too have grandchildren, and some of them have underlying health conditions, in addition to what I said at first. And with them going back full time may cause a problem with them bringing something home to their parents or even to the grandparents if they're in and out of the house with us. But I realize this. Children do need to get back in school as soon as possible because, as has been said already, the online learning is not what each child needs, and we are not reaching them as far as in moving them further in life. With some children it's well, but with other children, they're having a difficult time. But we also want to keep in mind, we want to make sure when they return to school that they will not bring COVID home to parents, grandparents, and others in the community. So I am going to support this resolution today. I would like to see us down in green, but every time I speak concerning this, I still see some parents not wearing masks when they go out, and they still want to congregate socially, but life has to move on. And with that, I'm going to support this resolution today, and hopefully our parents will think of how important it is when they're out that they should be masked, and they should have the children masked as well, and the 6 feet distance and whatever. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Levette, for you and your team and the hard work that you've done. This is not easy, and I think you've done what you feel that is necessary to get our children and faculty and staff back to school as safe as possible at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. I have Mr. Johnson, and then Mr. Catchmar, and Dr. Howard Hall.
Thank you, Dr. Buck. I want to first start by saying that I completely understand both sides of this issue. The only thing that I would like to see changed in this resolution, Ms. Hall already mentioned it, is instead of saying after consultation with board officers, to have it after consultation with the board members or the board as a whole. I think that would be best to make sure that we get all points of views from all across the county. Other than that, I don't have really an issue with the resolution as it stands. I do know that this is nothing's perfect. Everybody's going to be upset about something within it. Some people want to see it at a lower rate. Some people want to have the students in yesterday. At the end of the day, I want to make sure the public understands that this is operational. Like Dr. Buck said, this is not really in our purview. However, it is. I do thank the superintendent for coming to us for that guidance, for that advisement. I believe that is a very wise decision on her part, even though she did not have to do that. So to the public who believes that we need to be voting right today, that have the doors wide open, that's not going to happen. Not only is it not in our purview, I don't think that there's anybody on this board that want to have all 36,000 plus students in the classrooms, plus all of our staff. So thank you to the superintendent for allowing us to have that advisement for the reopening phase. And also I would like to thank the superintendent and staff for listening to the public and being able to do as much as possible. I know some people want to have the kids in the buildings 5 days a week. That's just not possible at this time. And please, I do hope that the public stays involved and stays engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Now I have Mr. Catchmar and then Dr. Howard Hall.
Thank you, Dr. Buck. I too support the amendments to the resolution to add the 7-day index and also to remove the word officers from that section.
Okay, so we don't. You need to make that as an amendment.
I'll make the motion at the end, if appropriate, okay, so we can all have our say on the fundamental issue here. So first, I wanted to respond to one of the speakers who said that the board never voted on virtual school, and this was all Dr. Levette's decision. Back in July, we all addressed what we were going to do with the opening of school in August. And the board voted unanimously in July to start virtually. And that decision was based on the science at the time. There were some disagreements on some of the details, but that was a board decision back then. What I said back then was if we lived in a perfect world, we would stay virtual indefinitely until there was a vaccine or a guaranteed way to keep people alive. And what I meant by a perfect world was everybody thrived in virtual school, and all of the issues that we've heard people in the community talk about, those repercussions weren't occurring. As we all know, we don't live in a perfect world, and the school district is bearing the brunt of lack of cohesive response to this pandemic as a community. I've heard from employers who keep telling me if I don't at least have some employees coming back who can't work remotely, I'm going to have to lay them off. I have employees telling me I would love to stay home virtually with my children, but if I don't go to work, I'm going to lose my place to live or lose the ability to put food on the table. And there's no social safety net to assist with those issues. So it's left on us to try to address those tangential issues when I think all we want to focus on is education. I also think emotions are heightened because we're talking about our children, and people, rightly so, are passionate about their children. And as Julie so eloquently pointed out, children are adapting and dealing with this differently. Some are thriving, some aren't. And we have to be sensitive to that. I also fault us as a board for delaying somewhat in adopting a plan with specifics, and that heightened some of the anxiety and angst that's out there. Also, I think, we knew this was coming, but there were significant challenges with the rollout of virtual learning. And the reality of day-to-day virtual learning is different than I think what we were presented with to a certain extent and what we were hoping for. And part of that is because our teachers are being very creative in trying to serve their children. So if there's a link isn't working or something, they're quickly transferring to Google Classroom or some other platform to try to reach their students. But the reality is, and I've heard this from parents and teachers, and I've seen it in my old household, we have multiple different platforms with multiple different links, with multiple different passwords, and daily links are in different places. So we've done a little bit of this to ourselves in terms of making it harder than it could have been. I fully acknowledge that it wasn't going to be perfect from the beginning, but I think some of the angst is from the challenges with virtual learning as well. Like some others have mentioned, I've heard from parents and staff on all sides. I've heard some parents tell me I was ludicrous if I didn't support 5-day, 38,000 kids back in the classroom right away. I've heard some parents tell me that I was ludicrous if I let any child in a school until there was a vaccine. And I've had staff tell me the same thing. I've had staff beg me to allow them back in school so they can serve their kids one-on-one. And I've had staff beg me to not allow staff in school until there's a vaccine. And I keep thinking about one of the things that we've acknowledged over the years, are we talking about adult issues or are we talking about children issues? And a lot of the issues we hear about are adult issues. It's harder for me to find childcare. It's a strain on my budget, et cetera. And those are all extremely valid reasons. But when we're putting all of these reasons into the hopper, looking at parents and staff on both sides, what's the right answer? Each parent and each staff firmly believes that their position is the right answer. So I keep going back to what's right for the kids. And I know what I think is right for my kids, but that might be different than what Julie thinks is right for her kids, and what other members of the community, what David or Michael think is right for their kids, or others on the board think is right for their grandkids. And so I go back to the fact that we're a choice district. It's what I said in July. It's what I said at our meeting last week. I think providing choices is the best option for us moving forward. And as I've told many people who have reached out to me, the pandemic has led us to a place where we're faced with a lot of bad choices, all of which have serious consequences. But as Dr. Bringman noted, you have to go into these choices with eyes wide open. So the fact that we provide choices already for parents and staff, the fact that this plan provides choices for parents and staff, which is really important to me, leads me to a place where I can support this plan. It's not perfect. There are things in it that I disagree with. There are things that I would have done differently, but I fully recognize that there are a myriad of operational issues that we've only scratched the surface on, and that we have to trust superintendent and staff that a hybrid model is better operationally than a 1 week on, 1 week off model, for example. So I'm not going to quibble with what I think is the best because, again, we have to defer to what is going to give us the most opportunity for success operationally. We also, frankly, have to acknowledge what is, politically supportable. This board represents the entire county, and we have a wide disparity of views in terms of whether schools should be open or not and whether staff should be forced to go back or not. And I think this model gets us in the door. It starts the process. It's a conservative approach. It's a cautious approach. There's science, but there's also recognition that virtual learning is severely impacting children and families, and so we have to acknowledge that as well. And finally, I'm going to echo what Ms. Hines said. Many of the parents who have contacted me, demanding that I insist upon 5-day in-person school for $38,000 right away, are the same ones I see posting stuff on social media where it seems to me they're not taking this pandemic entirely seriously. That said, many of them are. So big picture, I'm going to echo what Ms. Hines said, which is the only way we get back to normal school, whatever that is when we get into the green in terms of the 2 indexes. And to get there, it's going to take the community working together to social distance, to wear masks, and to do the things that all the scientists, the White House, the governor, the CDC, the Georgia Department of Public Health, et cetera, are all telling us to do to get this pandemic under control. So with that, I will support the resolution. I thank superintendent and staff for their work on this, for responding so quickly. And Dr. Buck, I'll make a motion to amend at the end.
Right, thank you. Dr. Howard Hall, and then I'll ask you.
During these unprecedented times, the top priority for our school district is reopening schools so they can remain open. We should make decisions about school reopening based on available data to include levels of community transmission and the capacity to implement mitigation measures in schools to protect students, teachers, administrators, and other staff. As children are widely thought to be at low risk of developing severe COVID-19, a new report from the American Academy of Pediatrics indicates that cases doubled in the months between July 9th and August 13th. The number increased from about 200,000 to more than 406,000. Although the risk is low, it is not non-existent. While the transmission rates are serious cases are very low in children, students physically attending school could carry at least some infections home to family members. Moreover, other family members could spread the virus more effectively among the general population, which can result in a sudden spike in community spread. I have melancholy reflections every month as Dr. Buck acknowledges and reads the names of our deceased students and employees during our board meetings. As cause of death is not revealed, I sat in deep remorse on one particular month as the name of a dear friend of mine, grandchild's name was called. I personally knew that the cause of death was due to COVID-19. There is no perfect or one-size-fits-all solution for reopening schools safely. As we are all aware, community transmission rates vary from region to region and month to month. Based on the parent and staff survey regarding when in-person learning should begin, 48% of parents voted green, low community spread, and 23% voted yellow, moderate community spread, which is a combined total of 71% green-yellow. The staff combined total green-yellow percentage is 86%. As of September 14th, Chatham County's COVID-19 community transmission index rate was 265.9 cases per 100,000 for the last 14 days, which is red, the highest level of risk per the Department of Public Health, the Coastal Health District. According to the parents and staff survey results, the data indicates that transmission has not slowed enough to allow in-person learning to resume. Therefore, based on our parent-teacher feedback, science, data, and guidelines from the CDC, to safely return to school, I support the phase 2 hybrid unlimited approach of in-person learning when the COVID-19 community transmission index is yellow and or green. When the community transmission index is high, our schools may reopen just to suddenly close at any given time, especially if there's a sudden spike in community spread. Therefore, I will not be in support of this resolution.
Thank you, Dr. Howard Hall. As I can just make a very brief remark, I will be supporting this after it's amended. I guess my concern.
Sir, if you could unmute your microphone, please, and anyone not speaking, please mute.
Okay, I will be very brief, but I guess I have been most concerned through this last week or so about the sort of total disregard for the fact that board members and staff members are working hard to do the right thing. I understand that everybody is an expert on education. I understand that everybody wants what they want when they want it. I would tell you, as Dr. Brinkman said today, I have pretty broad shoulders, but I get really tired of being told how inept I am because I don't agree with somebody. I've tried to listen hard to everyone. I have tried hard to see both sides. I sort of resent being told that even though I'm chairman of the board, because I don't have any kids in the district, I can't really understand how it is. I have grandsons in virtual learning in a different city right now. I have grandkids in a different city who are face-to-face and in person. So I think I can appreciate a little bit about all of this. I say all of that to say that I believe we're still doing the right thing for the students. I don't know that I would have come forward with a plan to go to open into a hybrid model this quickly, but it appears that's what the people want, and it appears that's what the majority of this board wants. I can tell you that as I end my remarks and ask Mr. Catchmore to make his amendment, my wife and I have had a custom for about 25 years of doing a monthly devotional in Guidepost magazine. And the scripture this morning, and if anybody out there wants to sue me, I would say, go ahead and sue me. I'm a short timer. But the scripture this morning says, everyone must be quick to listen, but slow to speak and slow to become angry. I think we could all profit from that. Mr. Catchmore, do you have an amendment to our motion?
Thank you, Dr. Buck. I move to amend the resolution so that in the...
Unmute your microphone, please.
Jim.
I knew that, sorry. I move to amend the resolution so that in the second to last paragraph that starts now, therefore, we add after community transmission index, we add, quote, and the daily case rate per 100,000, close quote. And that in the final paragraph where it says, be it further resolved, in the third sentence, we remove the word officers so that the line just reads after consultation with the board.
You've heard the amendment to the motion. Is there a second to that amendment? Ms. Hines seconds that. Mr. Catchmore, any other discussion you'd like to make? Ms. Hines, any discussion? Board members, are there any, is there any discussion from any of you about the amendment? Only the amendment. Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment, raise your hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All opposed? Any abstention? All opposed? 1. and no abstentions. The amendment to the motion passes 8-1-0. We're now focused on the main motion again with the amendment, which adds the second set of data that we're looking at and takes out officers of the board in the last one. So it just becomes the board. Discussion from board members about the main motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, raise your hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All opposed? 1. The motion passes. The main motion as amended passes 8-1-0. The superintendent would like to make remarks, please, before we adjourn.
Thank you very much. I've appreciated the comments made today. I do need a clarification. Once we are in hybrid learning, when there is a case and we are required to shut down a classroom or a wing or a school, what you have voted on says that we will not be able to do that until we have a meeting. Is that what I'm hearing?
That does not say that to me. It says in consultation with the board.
Okay.
It would say to me that you say we've had to shut down a building and just tell us.
Okay. As long as that's the understanding.
The examples Nurse Chancey gave today included those scenarios about when that would happen, and so I thought that was kind of the plan all along.
Because we are technically then changing the instructional model for those students, so that's why I sought your comments on it. Okay. Thank you so much. I've appreciated the rich conversation today. I think it's been very helpful, very insightful. So I want to thank the staff for working diligently to respond to the request and all the other suggestions and recommendations. I'd like to also offer thanks to the students, families, faculty, and staff, including those who have emailed throughout this meeting, I'm sure to you and to others about their feelings. Particularly, I wish to offer special thanks to the teachers and other staff who've indicated their appreciation for our flexibility and understanding as we continue to navigate these waters. I just want to remind everyone that our students and staff have been first and foremost in our thinking and planning. And I would love to be able to say to you that in March, I had some idea about where we would be. I frankly had many, many other plans, and they did not materialize. In fact, if you want to check the record, we were told that all of this would go away in the summer. I think you heard the same as I. However, we have always planned for the return of students. And if you recall vividly, we had a pilot in June to have our students return in a socially distanced manner. I think it was well recorded and on the record. So there has been no clandestine plan to keep our students out. We are in a pandemic, and as one of our board members on more than one occasion said, we have no perfect choices. I would like to go to the grocery store without a mask. I can't do that. For the grocery store workers, for myself, and for our fellow patrons. I would like to go to my church on Sundays. I'm not able to do that. For my pastor and for my fellow parishioners, I'm not able to do that. I would like to see the children in the classroom, because if you've not had a superintendent of late who visits schools, I'm one who does that. That's where I get my energy. I wish I had known in March, but I didn't. And so I guess I will pay for those sins of not knowing in advance. I do have great faith in the efforts of our custodians, probably the least mentioned in all of this. We see Miss Linda, who comes in and is judicious in her work to keep us safe in this space. I believe firmly in our operations staff, in our teachers, in our school administrators, and all the other SCCPSS staff to follow the stringent guidelines and to do everything in their power to create and maintain a safe and healthy environment in every classroom and in every office. Their work is thankless. However, even with their extraordinary efforts, it is not guaranteed that COVID-19 won't infiltrate our schools and offices and be spread between students and staff. And if anyone is operating a school and reporting that they have not had any cases, I can guarantee you that is not correct. In fact, I believe that most of us could agree that an outbreak on some level will be likely. I have heard the loud and clear voices. I've heard the impassioned pleas. I've heard the threats. I've heard the rants. I've heard the tirades, and I've heard the messages of appreciation and acknowledgement from staff and from families, knowing that each person is representing what they believe. I believe that our responsibility as Team 10 is to not let this issue destroy our relationship. Right. Our commitment is to our children, and I am as passionate about it as anybody else. But I have a job to do, and that is to make the decision that's in the best interest of all of the children. The truth is the truth, whether you believe it or not. We are in the red. I will always do my best. And if anybody thinks that I'm doing less than that, you're invited to take any action that you like. But I will stand by my ability to be nimble. But always, safety will be the priority. I still, every day, at the end of that day, whatever time it is, go to sleep understanding that I have done the very best I can. And I appreciate those who at least acknowledge that even if we disagree, we still have the core of believing in serving children well. I will always indicate to staff what that means for them and communicate to them in one of my love notes that each of you and each of us believes firmly in their ability to serve children well, and that safety will be the priority. I appreciate the rich conversation today. I learn each time we meet, and I learn each time I meet with our staff, be they in a school building or in an office building, an office setting. I appreciate the differences of opinion that I can experience as an American citizen. If you have not lived some other place, then perhaps you do not value one's right to share their opinion. I value that. I may not like it. I may not like how you say it, but the bottom line is I will listen. And if I believe that your position is one that warrants further consideration, then I will do that. I don't have all the answers. If you have them, I encourage you to please share them with me. In the meantime, I want to thank you for your partnership, for your belief in what we are doing, and for your understanding as we plow through this time together, that perhaps as a Team 10, we will be able to demonstrate the importance of patience and compassion. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Dr. LeBeth. We appreciate all that you do, and all that you've done, and all that you will do. Until you. Thank you all for all that you do, have done, and will do. It's been a long morning. I think we've gotten a lot accomplished. Ms. Hall moves that we adjourn. Is there a second? Ms. Hines seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.